Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with two detectives in a car, who are sent to a ghetto to investigate an illicit drug trade. Meanwhile, some thieves disguised as staff and ordinary people go around a bank, gathering information in preparation for a large robbery. The two investigators arrive at the reported apartment at that time, and enter. The detectives split up to apprehend the offenders, but one of them manages to flee. The criminals have already begun to prepare for the robbery, arming themselves to the teeth and putting on their gear. They blow a device inside the elevator after exiting it, to divert the attention of the surveillance office. Following that, as one gang keeps an eye on the captives, the other loads bags with money from the vault. A woman suddenly crushes the security alarm, alerting all authorities to the robbery. The woman is then forced to call the police herself by a gang member. As a result, reporters on a helicopter intercept the call, and are the first to learn of the news, prompting them to hurry to the top of the bank building. During this time, a gang member named AJ, masquerading as a security guard, scales the building, and welcomes the reporters with a gun. The criminals take the chopper, and flee alive with the loot. They later land and blow up the helicopter. Then they get into separate cars and drive away. The robbery was flawless, no hostages or agents were hurt, and the criminals left no trace. The action then moves to a prison, where a prisoner named Ghost is being released from his cell. Next, we see Detective Jack Wells arriving on the scene, keen to find out who the robbers are. Ghost is released from prison, and we watch how he gets a gun and money from a hidden location. Ghost pays a visit to a criminal named Sergey, and informs him that he has received a message from a mob boss in prison. Sergey lets him in, but Ghost is surprised from behind by another man. Ghost disarms him easily, and holds a gun at Sergey, who offers to speak quietly. Meanwhile, the bank robbers are celebrating their victory. Jake, one of the members, urges his brother Jesse, that he should visit his father in prison, but Jesse refuses. Jake approaches his fiancée, Rachel, and asks her to marry him soon after, while AJ is playing the piano. At this time, the other gang members, including John and Gordon, are also enjoying the celebration. The detectives continue to look for clues in the CCTV cameras, but to no effect. When John returns home a few days later, he is astonished to find Ghost inside. Ghost was the mastermind behind the crimes, but he was apprehended due to a mistake made many years before. He has maintained secrecy since entering prison, and has not revealed any information about the other members. Now he wants to discuss another major issue with the members, and John agrees to notify the others. Gordon, the current gang leader, pays a visit to his sister, who is in a rehabilitation facility. He holds a party in the evening, and invites the gang members to a fancy club, to discuss Ghost. Everything is going smoothly, until Ghost shows up unexpectedly. They proceed to the top of the skyscraper, to discuss the new job Ghost has for them. The plan is to rob a cash transport truck in 5 days, starting tonight. Ghost gives the exact route of the truck's travel, and the value of the treasure, which is approximately $25 million. He explains that he rescued a Russian mobster from a Russian prison. To reward him, the Russian criminal directed his subordinate to obtain the path of the vehicle from the bank dispatcher. Ghost promises to pay the gangster's portion from his side, so all they have to worry about is preparing for the mission as best they can. After he departs, Jake persuades everyone that their style was to perform once a year, and that this time they only have 5 days to prepare. However, Gordon claims the greater the danger, the greater the reward, so they should not pass up such a chance. AJ meticulously analyzes the truck's path, and determines the optimal position for the robbery. Jake determines the number of explosives required, based on the size of the explosion and the thickness of the road. The others must devise a strategy to steal the money. After planning, the members begin work on the sewer at night. Meanwhile, the investigators investigate how the criminals obtained the C4 explosives. They come upon a known weapons and explosives dealer while driving. The investigators deal with him and indirectly threaten him with arrest, so the arms dealer mentions a customer who purchased a huge amount of C4. At night, AJ travels to gangsters to acquire C4, but the other party is hostile, and refuses to give them to him. The gangsters seize AJ's money, and plan to evict him. A brawl breaks out here, and AJ brutally beats all 3 gangsters. When John and Ghost arrive to assist him, they learn that the C4 is hidden in the garage. During the investigation, the detectives acquire information from an informant, and travel to the location where the bombs are manufactured. The cops break into an abandoned structure, where 2 Russian crooks begin to flee. Detective Jack Wells pursues one of them, and shoots him in the back. Soon, Jack's colleague catches up with him, and assists him in apprehending the culprit. The police discover a considerable supply of C4 and other weaponry, implying that the crooks were planning a large mission. Jack discovers engineering drawings on the wall as well, but he is unable to determine what the thieves intend to accomplish. Meanwhile, the robbers are wrapping up their preparations for the expedition. AJ successfully hacks the traffic signal system, allowing them to control the flow of traffic. Later in the evening, Gordon and AJ talk about the strategy, and realize they've been trapped. Gordon's sister, who has left the institution where she was confined sooner than expected, joins the house shortly after. Gordon is concerned about her, but she assures him she is doing much better. The next day, Jack Wells examines clues obtained in the criminal hideout the day before. He discovers a curious link between Ghost and Russian mafia criminals when analyzing pictures. When he discovers that Ghost was released just as a Russian criminal cell was preparing for a major mission, he concludes this is no coincidence. Ghost has been summoned to the police station for questioning, and Jack is called there, who chooses to let Ghost go, and pursue him. Later, the detective learns that Ghost was supposed to meet with Gordon to deliver something. He also notices Jesse, who does the same hand salute as a robber during the bank robbery. The detective then follows Gordon's automobile, which John is driving. Following the discovery of the license plate, the detective returns to the police station, and conducts a search on Gordon, but finds nothing useful. Gordon's sister stole money from his flat at the time, and then sneaked out to get stuff. Gordon searches for her at night, but is unsuccessful. The burglars resume their work the next day, placing explosives where the vans would halt. Gordon's sister calls him later at night, to tell him she is at the police station. He goes there to pull her out, and Jack and his partner enter the station. While the investigator is questioning the junkie who was jailed with Gordon's sister, the final one snatches him, and drives away. The two have a heated argument in the car, and she flees. The next day is robbery day, and the robbery crew gets to work. At this time, Jack is summoned by his superiors, and learns that his colleague allowed a criminal to go, so that he could grab money from the crime site. This all transpires to the beginning scene. At this point, the robbers switch off the intersection's traffic lights, and Ghost takes over as a traffic cop. He walks to the crossroads to direct traffic, but the money truck is late. John poses as a sniper, and intends to murder Ghost, if it is discovered that he attempted to deceive them. Fortunately, the vans arrive, and Ghost takes them to the road where the explosives are hidden. However, immediately before the blast, a bicycle crosses the road in front of the vehicle. The vehicle brakes, causing the C4 to explode too quickly. The van should have fallen into the pit, but now they must find a way out. John emerges from concealment, attacks a security officer, and climbs into the vehicle in front of him, to push it into the pit. The criminals downstairs take the money, and flee the area, just as they were ready to call the operation off. Meanwhile, Jack is driving his coworker home. They learn of the robbery 3 blocks away, and decide to go there. However, Jack recalls the subway pathways discovered in the Russian thieves' lair, and speculates that the neighboring metro entrance may have served as the robbers' escape route. Once there, the investigators notice Jesse in the crowd, and begin pursuing him. Jesse is forced into the back of a hotel kitchen after a long chase. When he is accosted by Jack's coworker, he shoots him first, and then flees. Soon after, Jack discovers the critically injured coworker on the ground. Jesse continues to flee from the other police officers who attempt to apprehend him. Unfortunately, Jack's colleague dies, and the robbers are now in serious difficulty. Sergei phones Ghost at this point, resenting him for carrying out the crime with his own squad. Ghost was meant to carry out the robbery alongside the Russians, but he didn't trust them. Meanwhile, Gordon's crew is also unaware of this. Ghost, Gordon and the other robbers are sharing the loot in a hotel room. Jesse enters shortly after, enraged, and says he has murdered a police officer, igniting a confrontation. Scott, the guy who will assist them in laundering the money, arrives later to pick up the money. Ghost enters the restroom, and notifies the Russian crooks of Gordon and the others' whereabouts. When the Russians arrive at the hotel, Ghost flees. Ghost had lied to Sergei about the gang's intention to share the money. He intended to kill Gordon and the others using Sergei's rage. It is too late for Gordon to realize Ghost has betrayed them. The Russians have already left, and are shooting AJ. A large gunfight ensues, and numerous Russian gangsters are murdered. Fortunately, Gordon and the others escape unscathed, and knowing that the heated argument has drawn the attention of the authorities, they decide to split up. Jake and Jesse return to the mansion, in order to retrieve Jake's girlfriend and some money. However, Jake learns that Ghost has stolen the money, and murdered his lover. Meanwhile, Jack Wells discovers Gordon's flat and enters to investigate. The police surround the robbers' mansion, and with no way out, Jesse and Jake decide that being killed is preferable to being imprisoned. Meanwhile, Gordon is on his way home, but as he prepares to enter the door, he notices the lock has been tampered with. He goes to the parking lot, and discovers his sister. They drive to the airport. When the detective notices him driving away, he begins to pursue him. Gordon talks to John on the way, and they correctly predict that Ghost will kill Scott, a well-connected fence, and grab the rest of the money. Scott does in fact board the private plane, but Ghost arrives, murders him, and steals the money. However, he collides with Gordon. At that instant, Jack Wells appears, and the three of them point their guns at each other, and a three-way Mexican standoff results in Gordon and Jack being the first to be shot by Ghost. The two are injured and tumble to the ground. When Ghost comes charging at Gordon, John arrives just in time to shoot him. An injured Gordon, his sister, and John abandon the detective, and drive away. A gravely wounded Jack manages to call 911 for help. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.